What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the No Hope Podcast, where we want the world to know that there is hope. This is my beautiful wife, Kaytee.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 7. We're so delighted that you're here, and we're so happy that we're here, too.
Right? Let's get into it.
Yeah,
episode
buddy.
7. What do you think about that? Consistently, every single day, taking time to film an episode, no matter if we're busy, we don't have time, we've done it.
Or we don't feel good or whatever.
Right.
I think it's beautiful because we've talked about it for so long, having a podcast, and we just feel so grateful that we're like just going for it and doing it. And honestly, our ultimate hope is to add as much value as possible and to like give from our experiences and everything that we've been through. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And Kaytee, for the last couple of days, has been down for the count a little bit. So
It's like, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it all just like comes on at once, you know?
yeah,
But it's
Yep.
all good. I'm happy
absolutely.
to be here.
So what we normally do is we like to pick a couple of topics. We don't tell each other what they are before the episode, and we just kind of get into it. We like to start off with a little Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors. So,
to decide who goes first. So
Yeah.
winner goes first.
okay,
Okay, ready?
ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
There you go.
Dang, that was so funny.
Same one every time.
Right?
All right. Go
Okay.
ahead and get it started.
So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is investing in yourself, in your business, and how it brings value to every area of your life,
That's really great.
right?
I think that the only way to truly have success is to invest in yourself first. There's been times in our life where we've like experienced great success, and then there's been times in our life where we've experienced great failure. And I think in the times of great success is the time that we were really diving into our self-care, our routines, and really loving ourselves through that process so we could bring our A game forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another thing that I was thinking about is how, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because I speak to a lot of business owners every single day, every single week.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I like to ask like the ones that are doing millions of dollars a month or a year, whatever. And I like to ask them, you know, some different questions so I can take that feedback from people who are extremely successful. And what I've realized is that businesses have an incredible opportunity to invest in their business and take it to the next level, but often they don't, right? And so that's what is super important about a business owner is not just making any investment, but making sure, analyze it, you know, make sure that it's a good opportunity, but you have to be willing to invest in your business. And I think that correlates to your life in general. Like you have to be willing to sacrifice and make the investments necessary for your personal development so you can get to the next level.
Absolutely. I think that any time that I truly took the time and I even put money forth or I invested in a great way towards my higher goals, that everything was just so much better because then you have an expert on the other side really guiding you and helping you create something beautiful. And I think that if you're in a place where you don't have the means to do that right now, that you start really, you know, using free resources. I actually created a video about using free resources to help you grow. But I think in the case of Johnny, because he's constantly, you know, reaching out to businesses and stuff in the line of work that he does, that it's so important to do that if you can. If you can invest in your business and have experts on your side, I think it's so valuable.
Yeah, so many stories of when I talked to businesses that didn't really have the money, but they saw the potential and the opportunity, and they did everything they could to get funding.
Yeah, to like make a way.
Yeah, in like 4 to 6 months did, you know, close to $80,000 in profit. And I think about another guy, and he was only 16 years old, but he borrowed money from, you know, family or parents or whatever. And within 6 to 8 months, he was literally able to make $70,000-$80,000 a month. And now,
That's incredible.
yeah, he does occasionally 6 figures a month. And he didn't have the money, but he saw the opportunity. He's like, I need to do everything I can to make this happen.
Wow.
And look where he is now.
That's
right?
amazing. That's
Yeah.
a great story.
So,
okay, cool. So let's get on to the
your topic.
first topic. All
Yeah.
right. We ready for this?
Ready.
Okay, cool. So my first topic that I want to talk about is overcoming mistakes and forgiving yourself. I think that this is something that I've really been challenged with in the past couple weeks in particular for some reason. Sometimes I'll be up at night and I'll be just like kind of going over this memory book of like all the mistakes that I've made. And I'm like, dude, why am I doing this right now? And last night I really had like a revelation of that God was prompting me and wanting me to feel what I had been avoiding feeling. Because I think a lot of times that what happens is, okay, you have a season where you're making all these mistakes and then all of a sudden you do all this work, but you forget to do the part where you really dig down and you forgive yourself for making those mistakes. And I think that's super, super important. And something that last night I was like, oh, I think I've had a breakthrough.
Yeah,
and all of that.
Awesome.
What has helped you get through that?
Man, I was just thinking, and I think that it's just human nature, unfortunately, and indoctrination from the time and era that we're raised and what's common and practices. But it's like we self-sabotage, right? So for me, when I'm making good progress and I'm moving forward in life, I do the same thing where I'm reminded of my past and the mistakes that I made and, oh, where would I be if I wouldn't have made this mistake? And I feel like it's just self-sabotage. I think what I have started to do over the years is anytime that comes up and I'm thinking about that, I think, okay, what do I need to learn from this so I can move forward? And so anytime my mind reminds me of a past mistake, I can correlate a lesson to it and say, yeah, but you know what? I learned this, which helped me with my relationships or whatever it is. And so I think that there's good to it, but we don't want to self-sabotage. And yeah, I think forgiving yourself is huge because, you know, we need to learn how to become our number one fan, our biggest encourager. And if we know how to do that, know how to love ourselves, then we can learn how to love other people. But until we do that, I think we'll still have issues with relationships and we'll lash out at people because we still have some areas that we haven't resolved in our own life, you know?
Absolutely. And I think it's really, really important to do the inner work and kind of do that inner cleanup. Because you can try to make it look a certain way on the outside, but ultimately, if you're not doing the internal kind of lonely work, you're going to be without in some type of way. And I think that God sets you apart for a time to really be able to transform you from the inside out. And in our faith, we know that God he starts doing a great work within our heart, and he's like, hey, I knew you were going to make those mistakes. I knew that you were going to go through that hard time, but I'm here to tell you that you're forgiven and that everything's okay and that you will have success in the future and you don't need to be afraid of that success. And so I think that's really, really something that's hugely important, especially for people who have gone through the bouts of addiction or who have gone through the bouts of whatever. We're all sinners. And if somebody wants to cast the first stone, it's like, come on, dude. Like, no.
Right.
So
I know it's so hard to do, but imagine if you could get to a place where when people disrespect you or say something mean, instead of wanting to kind of get back at them, realize, oh, you know, they're broken as well and they're going through something I don't realize and just happens to take it out on me, and then to respond with love and kindness. I feel like that right there is very stepping powerful into the next level where somebody does you wrong or whatever, and you're able to quickly forgive them and realize we're all human. We make mistakes.
That is really beautiful and something that I definitely have had to work at, you know, I'm a Leo, so I'm super fiery. So I'm like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of go hand in hand with sobriety and the power of transformation. So, what does it take to truly transform your life, and how do you stay committed to the process when challenges arise?
Mm, that's a great question. I think that commitment comes
Mm,
to a deep sense of purpose and knowing who God created you to be. Knowing that you're made for something bigger, knowing that, God didn't put certain dreams in your heart for no reason, and that if they are a little crazy, that's good.
mm-hmm.
I think that, honestly, I think about at the end of my life, and so many people quote this, but meeting God face to face and Him showing you who you could have been and then
Mm,
who you ended up being. I think that I don't want to have that huge gap. I want to be real close to the highest version of myself. And I believe fully that each of us has the ability to connect to our higher self, that we have the opportunity again when we have that alone time to really search out that higher self that is
mm,
always connected to us via our soul, or just a human having a spiritual experience,
yeah,
or a spirit having a human experience,
yeah,
excuse me, that we do have the opportunity to know who we're truly created to be, and that is what helps me personally to
yeah,
stay committed.
yeah. That's awesome. And for me, so I was thinking, okay, so what does it take? And I'm really big on defining your why. So I feel
Yeah.
like having clarity, right, in your vision, your goal,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think another one, like what you said, is consistency. So number one, this is the vision. This is my goal, and define what transformation looks like. What does transformation look like to you? And to me, it's like I think about that version of myself that is extremely giving, making a positive impact on everybody that I come in contact with, and really just being able to give back in a big way, because I feel like it's
Absolutely.
part of my purpose is to really help people who are struggling where I once was, right?
Sure.
Just because it's such a dark, lonely, difficult road.
Yeah.
But when you go through it and you get through it with God's grace and favor, the version of yourself and the person you become on the other side of it is incredible, right?
Absolutely.
So you wouldn't take it back when you're in the middle of going through it. You're like, okay, this sucks,
Yeah.
but lots of whys. Why is this happening? All that stuff.
Sure.
But then, yeah, once you get through it and you overcome those different struggles, it's like this level of gratitude that is so powerful. And I wake up every day. That's why I love our Walking in Answered Prayers t-shirt,
Yep.
is because if you reflect on what you're grateful for every single day, it is
Absolutely.
so powerful, even when things go wrong and, circumstances go the opposite of what you want.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're grateful, you're like, could be worse, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to side note on consistency, as someone who I wish I was more consistent. I don't know if Strength Finders like tainted me, but I did that test and consistency was like my last one, and I was like, duh. So I think about it all the time, and just some hacks for being consistent. I feel like one is making those little habits super simple. Super simple, so that it's just automatic for you to do something, and having different points that are easy to get to. Kind of, they're challenging to get to, but they're easy to get to. So for
Mm-hmm.
like saying, okay, I'm gonna do this workout, I'm gonna do it 7 times within 2 weeks. I don't know, that's
Mm-hmm.
just like a random example,
Yeah.
but something like that. Just make it easy, make it simple, make it something so your brain is like, oh yeah, I just do this.
Yeah.
These powerful, um, consistent daily actions make me consistent and make
Mm.
me a better person. And the things that I do consistently start to build my life. And when I think about those little actions, they're building my life so that by the time next year comes around, I'm just a better person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and there was something else that I was going to say, but consistency is incredibly powerful.
The boy's consistent. Your boy
and
over here is like a heartbeat.
so, oh, I know. Another one is it's amazing how many people know the importance of defining your why and writing out a game plan, but how few of people actually do it.
And
I think
actually
it's like,
write it out.
yeah.
Like pen and paper, write it out.
Take 15 to 20 minutes on Saturday, on Sunday, whenever you have time, instead of scrolling on TikTok or going on to social media.
Yeah.
If you are determined to create the life that you're after and that vision that God has given you, take 20 minutes minimum with a notebook and nothing else, no distractions, and clearly define your goal, your vision, and then, like she was saying, put those actionable steps, right, that you can actually do every single day. And it doesn't have to be big. You can start working out
things.
Yeah, you can work out that muscle with small things, making your bed, right?
Yeah.
Having a morning routine and a nighttime routine. And you do that every single day for 30, 40, 50 days. Watch what happens in your life with opportunities, your emotional just well-being, and you'll be really proud of yourself, right? You're going to get more confidence because you're like, dang, I've done this every single day for 62 days without missing a day. So yeah, if you haven't, I definitely recommend doing it. It's powerful.
Absolutely. We could riff on this for like an hour longer, but we're going to move to the next topic. And my next topic is finding joy in the process and not just the outcome.
That's good.
Yeah. So, my parents always nailed it into me that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. My dad's always like, the most exciting thing about a vacation is getting ready for a vacation. And I was like, that's awesome, but I love a vacation. So what do you think of that? Like the finding joy in the process?
I think it's so powerful because it causes you to be in the present moment. And I love that too. So often we get either stuck in the past or thinking about the future and whatever it is, but being able to lock in the present moment is powerful. So yeah, I do that often actually after I got sober. When we're sitting around eating dinner or doing something as a family, whatever it is, I'll often stop and be like, I'm so grateful for what I have in my life and for my family, and I'll never get this moment again. And so when I started doing that a couple years ago, now Christmases, I remember the last couple of Christmases, I lived it up. I was in the present moment, and I get to take those rich memories with me, and I don't feel like I missed anything. So I feel like, being able to find the joy is really a mindset and a perspective. What are we focusing on, right? Are we focusing on the air in our lungs and the sight in our eyes that we can see? Or are we thinking about, a bill we're not sure if we're going to be able to pay? And so I think it's so powerful to do that. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a huge flex to be able to live in the present moment. And I know that because for so many times in my life, I have this achiever mindset where I love checking things off the list. I love getting a task completed or whatever. And so I can find myself really just focusing on, okay, let's get this done. Let's get this lesson done. Let's get through this through the day. Let's get this, whatever activity. I'm thinking about homeschooling Jude, or, when I go through and I'm working on the website, I'm like, dude, I just want to get this done, But then when I sit back and I find my place and my seat of gratitude, it feels so much better. It honestly makes the time go by in not like a lugging kind of way, but in this blissful kind of way. And I think that if we can stay in a state of bliss, not only are we going to achieve our goals faster, but we're going to enjoy the process along the way, like a workout, like enjoying a hard ass workout.
Yeah.
Like I got to the point where I really enjoyed that a lot, And so if you are kind of in a lugging along season, just trying to just be consistent and do the things, just know that you can change your state and be in a state of gratitude instead of this, oh my God, I just want to get there. You're gonna look back and be so much happier that you had joy in the process instead of a little pissy attitude.
Another thing that's very interesting is, and I often I think about this when I'm on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, And I see people that, aren't really talented or whatever, just normal Joe Schmo, and they've built up this following because they've consistently done something every single day.
It's
So when you
beautiful.
see somebody who has built their dream business or is living out their vision or whatever, that's because they consistently put in the effort towards something. So that successful business, that successful podcast, do you know the difference from you having a successful podcast and not is taking action in every single day and week, putting in effort, and it's only a matter of time until you get 100,000 viewers, 1 million viewers. But you can relate this to anything, the business that you want to start. If you consistently work on it, it could take you 3 years, it might take you 10 years. That's why it's important that we find something we're passionate about, because then it's easy. You have the motivation, like, I'm going to make this happen,
Absolutely. That's really good.
So,
all right, big dog.
Now,
What's your last topic?
Here's what's funny. What I wrote down is the art of consistency, how small daily habits lead to big life changes.
Dude, that's so cool. It's
Yeah.
It's just been like trickled through the entire little chat here.
Yeah.
That's so good. I'm telling you, those consistent daily habits, like I'm on making our bed. Like I have, or like the end of the week, going into my planner and planning out the week or whatever. I love that. Like I love those little rituals and routines, the time that I have with God, the time that I have to just like be on my own with God really just gives me so much clarity. And I think that if you're looking to start anything, if you can just spend 15 minutes a day with God, with your creator, whatever your beliefs are, just like open up to receive that wisdom. And I think it gives you so much guidance and peace throughout the day. I'm a better mother, I'm a better wife, I'm kind to myself. And I think that's so huge.
Yeah, that is.
What's
that's
like
awesome.
one thing that you think would be just an amazing thing for someone to implement today?
For consistency?
Yeah.
Man, it would be having a morning routine that includes at least 3 different things. One of them is being still and kind of visualizing and meditating about your day, right? The second one would be some form of exercise, right? Even if it's body weight workouts, if it's running on your treadmill, whatever it is, implement that.
Yep.
And then the third thing would be, when you're exercising, listen to something motivational or a book or something like that.
Yes.
Like I'm reading The Psychology of Money, and that's a good book. But that was ADHD random thought. But yeah, that's what I would do. It's that simple. Morning routine with those 3 different things, and do it for 90 days. Right?
Yes. I love it. That's beautiful.
So what was your last one?
Okay. My last one is having the courage to set boundaries and honoring your worth. When I first got into life coaching, I feel like worth was a huge thing, knowing your worth. Because for a long time I did, but at the same time I didn't to the capacity in which I should have. Because I feel like a lot of young women, they're going to find their worth in a lot of things that really don't matter, honestly, in the long run. They find their worth in what they look like and how many people like them and what people think about them and all of this stuff. But quite frankly, that isn't it, and your worth is really found in what God thinks about you and your beautiful heart and what you think about yourself and what you think about other people. And our worth is so valuable. And setting boundaries and kind of figuring out, because we unconsciously or consciously show people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. And so we have to be very intentional about how we're kind of training the people around us to treat us. Yeah. And so I just would love to encourage you to be super kind to yourself. And I say that to myself as well, because I can really be hard on myself. But if you can learn to soften and love yourself, it just feels so much better. Your days are so much happier.
Yeah, it's so powerful because you can be even more kind to others because you're able to do that to yourself. But that's why I say become your biggest fan. Imagine that if you were about to do something difficult in your mind, instead of creating fear and worry and doubt, it was pumping you up like, you got this, you're sharp, you're focused, you're unstoppable. Focus, lock in, and make it happen. Think about what you've been through before. This is nothing. And you just had that constant positive reinforcing mindset. I think it's so powerful. And also when you go to work on that, you work on your mindset, you become more consciously aware of the thoughts.
So you're like, where did that come from?
And then you're like, dude, I'm kind of mean to myself, you know?
And judgy.
Right?
You're like, realize you're like, dude, I'm being so judgy right now.
You
know, to other people or to ourselves, or just like grumpy, you know? And Johnny's always had such a beautiful mindset. And I think that, you know, a huge part of that is from being a high diver when he was diving, and because you just got to be in a different mindset to dive from like 80 feet in the air into a fishbowl. You know, you just got to, it takes some type of ticking going on up in there. And I think that you've just always had such a positive mindset. And that's something that really drew me to you when we first started dating, and I just love that. So
that's awesome. Thank you. Well, you know, I feel the same about you. I think that you are incredibly there's so many facets of you that I love, but just your creativity and your kindness to others definitely stands out. And it's not like a fake kindness. It's like you really do love people because you see them as they are, a child of God, you know? Another thing that's interesting is, you know, we're really, in the big grand scheme of things, we're all connected. We're all kind of one body, whether we like it or not, even if we're a different color or whatever from different places all over the world. We really are. And so in a way, it's like when we're mean to other people, we're kind of being mean to ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something I tell Jude often, because he'll start to be hard on himself. Like if he makes a mistake or messes up, you know, like the first time on something, he just really gets angry with himself. And I'm like, hey, wait a second. Would you treat, you know, like your little cousin or somebody else like that? And he's like, no, you know, and he really has to reel back and be kind to himself. And, you know, I think that if we can instill that in our children now, that's very powerful, we're creating this new environment for when our children are adults.
Yeah, it's so important, and something that Kaytee and I focus on with little man is to teach him about his emotions, right? And so he's still learning. We're all still learning, no matter what age. But just for him to be aware of that and to stop in that moment and realize, hey, and that's something that I'm determined to teach him, to where when other people are mean, that he remembers they're going through something. And that's the reason why they're being mean to me, but also just to combat it with love. But learning that emotional control is a lot challenging.
And it's interesting when you as an adult, as a parent, are still learning your emotional controls, and then you're trying to teach your kid how to have their emotional controls when you're like, okay, I'm still navigating mine a little bit. But I think that we're all just learning. And if we can just be kind to ourselves and just know that we're just cute little humans on the planet, just trying to figure ourselves out and do good in the world, you know, just take a step back a little bit. So.
Absolutely. So if you are interested, we have our Walking in Answered Prayer t-shirts that are available on the website. And we're so grateful for all of you that support us, that tune in. And I just want to encourage you, whatever that vision is, whatever that dream is that you have, that God has given you, know that it's possible. With consistency, discipline, and determination, you can build the business of your dreams. Whatever it is, your brand, whatever you want to do.
Your life.
It comes at a cost, because Kaytee was talking about boundaries. You have to say no to certain things and just really focus on your well-being, because it's going to be hard. There's always an event or always something going on, and you have to be able to make sacrifices for that short season. Like Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else now, so you can live like no one else later. And that's the same thing with when you're building a business, when you're building a brand, whatever it is, that you really need to have those boundaries so that you can lock in, so that you can focus, because there's going to come a day where you can travel to, every vacation or go visit family in different places, and you'll have that ability because you made the sacrifice early on, and it's so worth it. So it can be hard, it can be lonely, and it can feel like nobody is supporting you, but as long as that's your vision and your dream, go after it, man. Just with everything that you got, because you'll look back and be like, I'm glad I went all in.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us for episode 7. We're so grateful for this time with you, and we hope that it just sparked you in a beautiful type of way to go after your dreams and build the life of your desires and vision.
Boom.
So thank you so much again. We love you dearly, and we hope you have an incredibly happy holiday.
Absolutely. Lock in. Let's get it.
Later.